Get more ice, sweetheart. You know where it is. My aunt didn't even look at me when she said it. At my own grandfather's wake, I'd been filling drinks for 2 hours while my cousins sat in the living room, scrolling their phones and swapping memories they'd made up on the spot. I didn't say anything. I never did. But then the notary stood up. Can we have everyone take a seat? I need to speak with the executor. The room went quiet. She looked straight at me. That would be you. My heart stopped. Executor? Me? Aunt Linda's smile vanished. Uncle Joe sat up so fast his chair scraped. The notary handed me a leather folder. I opened it with shaking hands. And there, in Grandpa's handwriting, was my name. Before we go any further, drop a comment. Where are you watching from, and what time is it there? And if you believe family isn't always blood, hit that like button right now. Because what I was about to read would flip everything. Let me back up. Growing up, I was always the odd one out. My mom raised me alone. We lived in a 1-bedroom apartment on the edge of town. The rest of the family, big houses, 2-car garages, annual trips to Florida. Holidays were the worst. I'd help in the kitchen while my cousins played video games. I'd clear plates while they opened presents. Nobody asked me to. It's just what I did, except Grandpa. He'd pull me aside while everyone was distracted. Come here, let me show you something. He taught me chess on an old wooden board. He taught me how to read a contract, line by line. He taught me carpentry in his garage, measuring twice, cutting once. Keep every receipt, he told me once. Every letter, every note. Paper has a longer memory than people. I didn't understand it then, but I saved everything. Birthday cards, handwritten instructions on how to change my oil. A note he slipped me at Christmas that just said, "You're going to be fine." When Grandpa got sick, I visited 3 times a week. I drove him to appointments. I sat with him during chemo. I learned how to help him shower when he got too weak. Aunt Linda, Uncle Joe, birthday phone calls, Christmas cards, maybe 1 visit every few months, Grandpa noticed. He never said it out loud, but I saw it in his eyes every time I walked through that door. I didn't know it then, but those visits and that shoebox of memories were about to become my entire case. Back at the wake, before the notary arrived, Aunt Linda cornered me in the kitchen. You're good at organizing, right? I nodded. We're going to need someone to coordinate the estate sale. Sort through Dad's things. You don't mind, do you? Her smile didn't reach her eyes. I opened my mouth to answer, but Uncle Joe leaned in. It's a lot of work, but you know how he lived. We'll handle the important stuff. The important stuff. Right. I was about to say yes. I always said yes. Then the notary called everyone into the living room. She opened a folder and cleared her throat. I, Robert Jennings, being of sound mind and body, do hereby appoint my grandchild as executor of my estate. My name. Not Aunt Linda's. Not Uncle Joe's. Mine. I bequeath my estate in equal thirds to my 3 grandchildren, with controlling interest in the family trust assigned to my grandchild, executor. Silence. Then Aunt Linda stood. This is insane. He wasn't in his right mind. Uncle Joe's face went red. Dad would never do this. She manipulated him. Cousin Brandon pointed at me. You took advantage of him. Everyone knows it. The notary stayed calm. Mr. Jennings executed this will 6 months ago, witnessed by 2 attorneys and notarized in my presence. Aunt Linda's voice shook. We're contesting this. No way he wrote this himself. The notary handed me a sealed envelope. Your grandfather asked me to give you this privately. I slipped it into my pocket. I had a feeling I was going to need it. 48 hours later, the letter arrived. Certified mail. Notice of will contest. Allegations of undue influence and lack of testamentary capacity. I sat on my couch and read it 3 times. They were really doing this. They hired a lawyer. A good one. The letter said I was forbidden from taking any action on the estate until the matter was resolved. No distributions. No sales. Nothing. Then my phone started blowing up. Cousin Brandon posted on Instagram a photo of Grandpa smiling at a family barbecue. The caption? Family fights for justice when outsiders take advantage. #truth. #family first. 63 comments, all from people I hadn't seen in years. Praying for your family. So sad when people exploit the elderly. I wanted to scream. Instead, I turned off my phone and stared at the ceiling. Maybe they were right. Maybe I should just walk away. Then I remembered the envelope. I opened it. Inside was a handwritten note on Grandpa's old stationery. They'll come for this. Stand firm. You earned it. I love you. Don't let them bully you. I read it twice. Then I made a decision. I had two choices: fold or fight with everything Grandpa left me. I chose the fight. I read Grandpa's note again. Then I looked at the envelope. There was something else inside. A second letter, thicker, folded in thirds. I opened it. Notarized. Dated 6 months before Grandpa died. The letter was addressed to whom it may concern. And it was in Grandpa's unmistakable handwriting. I am writing this letter of my own free will to document my testamentary intent. I am of sound mind. I have consulted with legal counsel and my physician. I leave controlling interest in my estate to my grandchild, because they are the only one who asked how I was, not what I'm worth. My hands shook. He knew. He knew they'd fight. Then I saw the last line. For a full record of family interactions, please see my personal journal, which I have kept for the past 2 years. Journal? I ran to my closet and pulled out the shoebox. There it was. A leather-bound notebook I'd never noticed. I opened it. Entries. Every week. Sometimes twice a week. Dates, names, details. Linda called today. Asked if I'd updated my will. Didn't ask about my heart appointment. Joe stopped by. Needed to borrow $5,000. Stayed 11 minutes. My grandchild drove me to chemo and stayed 4 hours. Didn't ask for gas money. Page after page. 2 years of receipts. I finally understood. But I knew a letter wouldn't be enough. They'd say he was confused, coerced. I needed something bigger. The next letter came a week later. Deposition notice. 90 questions. 3 hours. Under oath. They're going to tear me apart, I thought. Then Aunt Linda's lawyer went to the press. A local news blog picked it up. Family battles alleged elder exploitation. The quote from their attorney? Elder exploitation is a silent epidemic. We won't let it stand, even within family. My face wasn't in the article, but my name was. 2 days later, my mom called. She was crying. They came to my work. Who? Linda and Joe. They told my manager you stole from Grandpa. That I raised a thief. I couldn't breathe. Mom, I didn't. I know, baby. I know, but they're not stopping. I hung up and stared at the wall. The court set a hearing date. 60 days out. I checked my savings account. $1,200. I called 3 estate lawyers. Every retainer started at $10,000. I was drowning. Then I sat down at my kitchen table and opened the journal again. I read every entry, front to back, and I realized something. Grandpa didn't just leave me money. He left me a roadmap. Every lie they'd told. Every time they'd used him. Every moment they ignored him. He documented it all. I wasn't just defending a will. I was defending the truth. And the truth had a paper trail 2 years long. I needed help. So I called the notary. She agreed to meet me at a coffee shop. I brought the journal and the letter. She brought something else. A file box. Your grandfather was very thorough, she said. She opened the box. Inside were 3 identical folders. He updated his will 3 times over 4 years. She laid them out. Will version 1, 4 years ago. Will version 2, 2 years ago. Will version 3, 6 months before he died. Every version names you as executor. Every version distributes the estate the same way. I stared at them. Why 3 times? She smiled sadly. He told me. They'll say I wasn't thinking straight. So I'm going to prove I was. Each will had a cover letter from a different attorney. Each letter certified that Grandpa understood what he was signing, that he was lucid, competent, and firm in his wishes. Then she pulled out one more document. The family requested his medical records, right? I nodded. They're going to regret that. She slid a page across the table. Cognitive evaluation. Dated 1 week before the final will signing. Score 30 out of 30. Perfect. Your grandfather took this test voluntarily, she said, just to make sure there was no question. I finally understood. Grandpa knew they'd fight, so he built a paper fortress. I started digging. If I was going to court, I needed to understand why they were really fighting. A friend who works in real estate sent me a text. Did you know your aunt refinanced twice? I didn't. She sent me the public records. Aunt Linda's house had 2 liens. Total debt, $240,000. Then I searched Uncle Joe's business on the state registry. Delinquent taxes, $87,000. They were drowning. Then a mutual friend sent me a screenshot. Cousin Brandon's Instagram. Posted 3 weeks before Grandpa died. He'd deleted it, but she'd saved it. Big things coming. Grandpa's legacy is going to change everything. Rocket emoji. Money bag emoji. He'd already spent money he didn't have. They all had. They didn't contest the will because they loved Grandpa. They contested it because they were desperate. The inheritance wasn't a gift to them. It was a life raft, and I was in the way. I sat back and took a breath. For the first time, I didn't feel angry. I felt sad, but I also felt clear. I knew exactly what I had to do. And more importantly, I knew I had to win. Not for me, for Grandpa, for the truth. I found a probate attorney through a legal aid referral. Her name was Maria Kahn. Her office was small, no receptionist, but her walls were covered in framed winds. I walked in with a briefcase full of documents. "I can't pay you up front," I said, "but I have everything we need to win." She gestured to a chair. I laid it out. The 3 wills, the notarized letter, the journal, the cognitive eval. She read in silence for 10 minutes. Then she looked up. "I'll take this on contingency." "Really?" She smiled. "They picked the wrong fight. And your grandfather was a genius. We filed 2 motions. Motion to uphold will and dismiss contest. Motion for attorney's fees and sanctions." Maria explained it to me. "If we prove their contest is frivolous, the court can make them pay your legal fees." "Is it frivolous?" She tapped the stack of documents. "This is the most well-documented testamentary intent I've ever seen. Yeah, it's frivolous." I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Hope. No, stronger than that. Certainty. The hearing was set for Monday. 9 a.m. I didn't sleep the night before. But I wasn't nervous. I was ready. Grandpa had given me everything I needed. Now it was time to let the paper do the talking. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Aunt Linda sat on one side with Uncle Joe and their attorney. They looked confident. Maria and I sat across the aisle. I was calm. The judge entered. We stood. "Please be seated. This is the matter of the estate of Robert Jennings. Counsel, proceed." Their attorney stood. "Your Honor, the decedent was elderly, vulnerable, and isolated during the final months of his life. He was subjected to undue influence by a grandchild seeking financial gain. We ask the court to set aside the will and distribute the estate according to intestate succession." Maria stood. "Your Honor, I'd like to submit Exhibits A through G." She approached the bench with a folder. Then she turned on the overhead projector. Exhibit A, Will Version 1, dated 4 years prior. Exhibit B, Will Version 2, dated 2 years prior. Exhibit C, Will Version 3, dated 6 months prior, side by side on the screen. All 3 wills name my client as executor and distribute the estate identically. This was not a last-minute decision made under duress. This was a sustained, consistent intent spanning 4 years. Aunt Linda leaned forward and whispered something to her lawyer. Maria continued. Exhibit D, cognitive evaluation performed by a board-certified neurologist 1 week before the final will signing. Score, 30 out of 30 on the mini mental state exam. Perfect cognitive function. She clicked to the next slide. Exhibit E, a personal journal kept by the decedent for 2 years, documenting family interactions. She read aloud. March 14th. Linda called today, asked if I'd updated my will. Didn't ask about my heart appointment. June 2nd. Joe stopped by. Needed $5,000. Stayed 11 minutes. September 9th. My grandchild drove me to chemo and stayed 4 hours. Asked how I was feeling. Didn't mention money once. Aunt Linda stood. Your Honor, he didn't understand what he was... The judge held up a hand. Sit down, ma'am. You'll have your turn. She sat. The judge reviewed the documents in silence. 3 full minutes. Then he spoke. I see no evidence of diminished capacity. I see a man who knew his mind and expressed it clearly and consistently for 4 years. The will is upheld. Motion to dismiss the contest is granted. I exhaled. The judge wasn't finished. Furthermore, given the overwhelming evidence and the apparent lack of merit in this contest, I am awarding attorney's fees to the estate. $12,000 to be paid jointly by the contesting parties. Aunt Linda's face went white. Uncle Joe stood and walked out. The gavel came down. It was over. The next day, Aunt Linda's lawyer sent a 1-line email. We are withdrawing from representation. Uncle Joe blocked me on every platform. Cousin Brandon's Instagram went private. I didn't reach out. I didn't gloat. I didn't post anything on social media. I just had a quiet dinner with my mom. She cried. Not sad tears, relief. I'm so proud of you, she said. I didn't do anything. Grandpa did. No, you showed up. That's everything. The $12,000 in attorney's fees was split 3 ways between Aunt Linda, Uncle Joe, and Cousin Brandon. $4,000 each. I never saw the money. Maria took her fee from the estate, as agreed. But I didn't care about the money. I cared about what came next. 6 months later, I enrolled in night school. I finished the degree I'd started years ago and dropped out of because I couldn't afford it. Paid in full, no loans. I also started something Grandpa would have loved. The Robert Jennings Trade Scholarship. $2,500 a year for working students in skilled trades. Plumbing, electrical, HVS, carpentry. The kind of work Grandpa respected. The first recipient was a single mom studying HVAC. When I handed her the check, she cried. You have no idea what this means. I did. Because Grandpa gave me the same gift. Not money. Belief. A year after the hearing, my mom retired. 58 years old. She'd worked in a factory since she was 19. I covered her rent for the first year while she figured out what came next. She volunteers at a community garden now. She's happy. The family never reconciled. And I'm okay with that. I learned something Grandpa tried to teach me my whole life. You can't control who loves you, but you can control who has access to you. Boundaries aren't mean. They're necessary. 1 year after the trial, I visited Grandpa's grave. I brought a photo of the first scholarship winner and placed it on the headstone. You were right, Grandpa. Paper has a long memory, but love has a longer one. I stood there for a while. The wind was cold, but I felt warm. I'd kept my promise. I'd stood firm. Here's what I know now. Inheritance isn't about money. It's about who was there when money didn't matter. So let me ask you, have you ever been underestimated by family, then proved them wrong? Drop your story in the comments. I read everyone. And if this story moved you, hit that subscribe button. There's more coming. One last thing. This story is a fictionalized dramatization for entertainment purposes and does not constitute legal or financial advice. All names and details have been altered. Thanks for watching. And remember, stand firm.